Hey everyone, Krazyed here, and I just wanted to go over the new patch notes that just came out for Path of Exile Atlas of Worlds Expansion 2.4. So I'm just reading through the initial notes, and I wanted to go ahead and share that with y'all, go over my thoughts, and let's just go ahead and dive into it. Atlas of Worlds. The Atlas of Worlds lets you keep track of your progression through the Atlas and Path of Exile's map in-game system. You can also use it to upgrade maps and add mods to the Atlas. It indicates which maps are connected to each other. The map drop rules have been changed so that connected maps and maps you've previously completed can drop from the area that you're currently playing in. As you progress towards the center of the Atlas from the four corners, the tiers of maps increases. There are 4 Tier 16 maps that contain the Guardians of the Void. As you defeat them, you'll earn fragments of the key that allows you to challenge the Shaper himself. As you complete more types of maps, you unlock a cumulative map tier bonus that is displayed on the Atlas. All of this is known information, so you can complete white or yellow maps by 5 tiers using a Shaper's Orb, which can be earned by completing objectives on specific maps. We knew that too. You can add temporary mods to the Atlas using Cartographer Sextants. Your progress, upgrades, and mods on the Atlas of Worlds are shared between all characters on your account in that league. We've added 30 new maps and dozens of new map bosses. There are 13 new base types that can be only found in specific areas of the Atlas. Most existing maps have been revamped so to have more balance in monster composition, layouts, and boss fight rewards. So Chris already talked about this previously, and he said that they were going to balance areas that maybe didn't have optimized layouts with either, easier bosses or just literally adding more monsters so that backtracking isn't necessarily as bad. There's just so many more monsters in the map. You can trade 20 Cartographer's Chisels and 5 Orbs of Regret to a vendor for an item that allows you to respec the shaping of a map. So you can unshape a map for 20 chisels and 5 Orbs of Regret. That's a little bit expensive. Or you can trade 5 sextants of one specific color to a vendor for an item that allows you to respec the completion of a map of that color. So you can uncomplete maps for 5 red, yellow, white sextants. You can find out more details about how the Atlas works here, and they've got a forum thread listed. Essence Challenge League. Challenge Leagues are a great opportunity for a fresh start in a new economy. We strongly encourage this, blah 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 blah. Play our new expansion. So with 2.4 there are standard and hardcore variants. That's all the same. The Essence League, you'll occasionally encounter groups of monsters trapped in mysterious essences. Each type of essence imbues the monster with different powers, which you'll have to face upon freeing the monsters from their prison. If you are strong enough to defeat these foes, you can claim the essence for yourself. These items aren't just a trophy, their effects is similar to that of an Orb of Alchemy. Using one on a normal item will upgrade it to a rare item, but with one pre-decided property. Each of the 25 essences types guarantees a different power, some of which have never been possible on items before. The top 2 essences of each type also act like a Chaos Orb. Okay, that makes sense. I thought before they all acted like either Chaos Orbs and Orb of Alchemies, but I guess only the top tier essences are going to let you do a Chaos Orb. While it's tempting to use your essences to craft items, you can also upgrade your spare essences to the next power level by combining a group of the 3 identical ones at the vendor. The 25 types of essences have between 3 and 7 tiers of power level depending on when they occur in the game. One special type of essence called the Remnant of Corruption isn't used on items but on the trapped monsters themselves. It's a veil influence that can create many possible outcomes, including special types of essences that can't be created any other way. Each additional player in your party adds a chance for an additional random essence to drop when the monster is killed. So unlike Talisman League, where if there's 6 people in a party, there's only 1 talisman, and you're lucky if you got the talisman. Now it looks like more can drop for more party members. New challenge leagues include a set of 40 new challenges. When you complete 12 challenges, you receive the footprints, which look pretty cool. 24, you receive the Essence Backpack, which looks like another previous backpack. And when you complete 36 challenge, you receive the Essence Portal. I really like the footprints. I like the portal. the next best, and then I like the backpack the least of those three. And then you get totems after the 19th, and every third challenge beyond that, up to 40. This patch includes new multi-threading engine features that should significantly improve game performance for most users. They were previously an opt-in beta test. To disable this feature, change engine multi-threading in your graphics options. It is auto-disabled if your CPU has less than 4 cores. Frame rate increases also are most significant when there are lots of entities on the screen. Do not expect significant increases in your frame rate for non-combat situations. If you are GPU bound, also don't expect any increase in performance. The particle effect system has also been optimized, especially for CPUs with AVX capabilities. Particle simulation is now up to 4 times faster using a modern CPU. This can translate to double frame rate in high particle situations such as burning ground. They've also added new texture compression, which will improve loading speeds and download size. More assets have been added to the preloading system to prevent micro stutters and reduce memory usage, and hence background loading times by a further 300 megabytes. Major new features content added 22 unique items. 8 of these new uniques can only drop from the Guardians. 4 can only drop from the Shaper, so more than half the uniques they've added come from those 5 encounters, being the 4 Guardian fights: Phoenix, Chimera, Minotaur, Hydra, Shaper. Added a new type of strongbox, the Diviner strongbox, and lots of divination cards. Hall of Grandmasters was changed around with about a dozen additional Grandmasters and some replacements of old Grandmasters. Also added a channeled skill system for Incinerate, Flame Blast, and Wither. They are all now channeled skills. So if you were planning on using that new helmet with your 100 mana cost Incinerate, then good luck. Minor new feature content. Medium-sized hideouts can now hold 4 Forsaken Masters rather than 3. Large-sized hideouts now hold all of them, 7. And Navali and Leo are both bypass these limits, so you can have 9 people in your hideout. The current party interface now shows what areas your party members are in. If they're not in your current area, that's a pretty neat bonus. Added 3D art for Vis Mortis, Widowmaker, Frostbreath, and alt art for Demigod Stride. I like the Vis Mortis. I wonder what it looks like. The create button is now disabled in the character selection to avoid the awkward situation of only telling you after you're trying to name your character. Flash buff icons have been remade in a more consistent way. The spirit standing next to Haku now flies upwards when you complete his mission. That's okay. Intruders in Black now offers Bismuth so that you get some flasks for different missions now. That's, I don't race, but I guess that's it. Rock Elemental Pet now sometimes rolls when it moves. Cool. Zana the Master Cartographer has a new voice actor. Forsaken Masters that point to their objective now also have an arrow on the ground. Okay, you automatically receive the next waypoint when you kill Veil Oversoul, unlike the other act bosses. Significantly improve Alien Grass and Belly of the Beast. Okay. Flicker Strike now no longer causes you to drop Haku's Spirit. I don't understand why you wouldn't do it for Whirling Blades then. Added some additional dialogue to Maramoa. Okay. Changed the Orb of Elemental Essence to Orb of Elemental Dissipation to avoid confusion. It's probably one of the lab items. Cutthroat Leagues now have their own league flag art. Descriptions of damage ranges have been changed from X-Y to X2Y so that it's more clear. Oh, so in my last video when I talked about 4 to 8 damage per frenzy charge on that essence, it is a 4 to 8, not rolls from on a range to 4 to 8. Emerging spiders now emerge more quickly. Cool. Continue to incrementally improve the sound, art, and environments. Prophecy changes. It is now a core in the core game. Navali can be invited to your hideout, and she doesn't consume a slot. We just talked about that. When seeking prophecies from Navali in your hideout, the difficulty used is now the latest difficulty in which your character has ever accessed the Twilight Strand. Silver coins now drop less often than before. It's about 1/6 the rate, if I remember the Reddit right, as prophecy is not the main league mechanic now. The ceiling cost for most prophecies has been slightly reduced. The highest level that some prophecies can spawn has been reduced. The normal difficulty version of the Forgotten Soldier's Prophecy has been made easier. Okay, I don't know which one that was. Immunity to debuffs has been reworked to be consistent. In all cases where a player gains immunity to debuff, they now also have that debuff removed, as opposed to just not allowing further application. So this would be something like a bleed flask or something. Cannot be stats do not work now as immunity. For example, Fairgrave Strikerhorn prevents you being shocked but does not remove the shock. Okay. In most cases, this change will not change how existing game elements behave. However, some game elements have been reworded to clarify how they work. Triggered skill improvements. Here we go. Since we introduced trigger gems, players have been able to trigger their skills faster and faster with each update. The performance and gameplay consequences of this extreme skill spam have finally justified a redesign of how some trigger gems work. For Cast on Critical Strike, Cast on Melee Kill, Mjolnir, Null's Inclination, and Cosprey's Malice, which is a new unique from the same guy who made Cosprey's Will, only one skill can be triggered per trigger event. The damage of Cast on Critical Strike and Cast on Melee Kill has been increased as described in the active skill gem balance section below. So I think that would be if you have Molten Strike with GMP and Multi-Strike equipped, and when you click your button and it does 3 attacks, each that puts out 7 molten balls, you can only trigger your discharge with your Mjolnir one time. So Mjolnir is now dead. That's the way I read it. I'm fairly certain that's the way it is. A spell that is triggered is determined based on the order in which it is socketed and will cast supported spells in sequence, even across multiple attacks. These items and skills also have cooldowns which limit how often a skill is cast. Okay. All unique items that trigger skills now and going forward follow the rule that if a skill is triggered, it can only be used by that trigger and not be cast directly by the player as well. So you wouldn't be able to cast your discharge from your Mjolnir. Okay, so you just... Okay. Previously, only the trigger-supported gems included the use of the triggered skills this way, while skills triggered by unique item properties could be self-cast. Okay. So you can't cast your Blasphemy Curse because it's supported by Blasphemy, but if you put the curse in a Mjolnir, it would auto-cast. You could still cast it manually. Frost walls created by you or your allies are now no longer considered enemies for the purposes of projectile collision. Your projectiles will not collide with your own frost wall. This intentionally fixes the exploit where a player stacks many frost walls around a boss and uses a skill like Piercing Arrow to trigger an excessive amount of hits. Yep, saw that one coming. Cast on Critical Strike now has a 500 millisecond cooldown. Oh. And you will now only trigger one spell per frame when you critically strike. It now has twice per second. That's crazy. Now has a 100% chance to trigger cast when you critically strike. Now has 20% more spell damage at level 1, so you can more spell damage, basically cut it, what it was, 20 times a second, so now 10% less, or 90% less triggers. One spell per frame when you critically strike, 100%. Note that the changes described in the above triggered skill affect self-cast on critical strike. Spells are chosen in the order of their sockets. I'm just rereading the cast on critical strike. Cast on critical strike now has a 500 millisecond cooldown and will now only trigger one spell per frame when you critically strike. It now has a 100% chance to trigger casts when you critically strike. It now has 20% more spell damage at level 1, tapered up to 39% at level 20, 1% per level. Note that the changes described above in the triggered skill improvements affect cast on critical strike. Spells are chosen in the order of their sockets, just like cast when damage taken is now. Cast on Melee Kill now has a 250 millisecond cooldown, so 4 times a second. Cast on Melee Kills increases to spell damage have been replaced with 20% more spell damage at level 1 up to 39% damage at level 20. I'm wondering on these if that's a global cooldown on the support gem itself, or if that's adding the cooldown to the spells. So if you have Barrage, Cast on Critical Strike, and you've obviously got some Volley Fire gems in there, and you are casting it, and then you have 4 spells in your setup. Doesn't matter what they are. EK, Spark, Bladefall, and Fireball, I don't know, Arctic Breath. Then you would twice a second per spell at 4 spells, or if it's just twice per second and then it goes in order, so you can only cast each spell once every other second, because you're gonna trigger it. I don't know, we'll see. I'm sure that'll be answered the next day or two, if not immediately. Many skills have had their damage increase. This increases start out low at lower levels and taper upwards. Here are the increases at gem level 20, so here's the buffs. Fireball, 50% more damage. Okay. Ice Spear, 70% more damage. Okay. Okay. Arctic Breath, 35% more damage. Okay. Cleave, 19. Wait. So Fireball gets 50% more because people are actually still playing Rolling Flames. And Arctic Breath gets 35% more. Ice Spear needed more, but not 70. And then you're going to give Cleave 19. Sweep. So a skill that basically gets no use whatsoever gets 19% more damage. Sweep, 15% more damage. Ground Slam, 15. Sunder, 9%. So you give Sweep. Viper Strike gets, Double Strike, 13% more damage. Heavy Strike, 5. Glacier Hammer, 6. What the hell? That's ridiculous. That's Dominating Blow, 6% more attack damage, not minion damage. Okay. Frostblade's 15% more damage. Lightning Strike, 9% more damage. Wild Strike, 19% more damage. It also gains 1% increased area of effect per level. And that's cool. A Static Strike, 16% more damage. Well, hell, I'm going to make a freaking Static Strike build. Gets 16% more damage. Reeve, 12% more damage. Wait, so Heavy Strike gets 5% more damage, and Reeve gets 12. So one of the few melee skills that actually gets played, Reeve, gets more than double the damage bonus of Heavy Strike. Or Glacial Hammer. Glacial Hammer has nobody playing it. It is complete garbage. Reeve's base area of effect has been increased by 21%. Its per stage area has been reduced from 30 to 20. It still has the same area of effect at maximum stages. So Veil Reeve's area of effect has been updated, whatever. That's retarded, GGG. Why are you doing this? Last rate's 30% less attack speed. Drawback has been reduced to 25. This is a buff. Ice Crashes penalties have been reduced. This is a buff, yes. Static Strike now gains 1% more area of effect per level. That's really nice. I might make a Static Strike build. Earthquake's Aftershock damage has been reduced from 60% more at level 1, tapered upwards to 50% more at all levels. Its mana cost has been increased from 6 to 10. Its Aftershock area of effect, so they're nerfing Earthquake a little bit, reducing the AoE and the Aftershock damage, and they're increasing Static Strike's damage. Good deal. Blade Vortex now has a stack limit of 20, down from 50. It now deals 63% more damage at level 20. Okay. The number of hits per second causes substantial performance problems. The skill was also deemed too strong against bosses. Oh, well, yes. Well, maybe you don't need to put it basically does the same amount of damage because you're reducing damage by 60%, increasing it to 63% more at level 20, so it still evens out. Magma Orb can now be affected by projectile speed. That's fun. Discharge now deals 35% less damage when triggered. It's the only... you're putting a cooldown on it. You don't... Whatever. Veil Molten Shell now causes an explosion when it prevents any physical damage rather than when it takes any hit. Good. Trap and mine behavior of Bladefall has been made more consistent with other traps and mines. The blades fall from the mine itself, not targeting the location where the monster is. They will fall in the direction of the monster though, so this is actually a nerf to this, because that means the cascade starts where the mine went down, so if you trigger one mine and the mine or trap, blast, cascade, whatever you want to call it, they always start on the mine. So unless Atziri is standing right on your trap, right on your mine, you're a lot less likely to get every hit of the blade fall. PvP values have been set for Contagion, Essence Drain, and Vortex. Support gem balance. Melee Splash is getting a buff. 35% less damage to other targets at level 1, down from 50. It now has 26, down from 31 at level 20. The damage bonus of the less duration support gem has been reduced. At level 1 it has been reduced from 20 to 10. At level 20, given the utility of this gem, the damage bonus was too high. Agreed. Pierce's multiplier has been increased. For the mana multiplier from 110 to 130, its damage at high levels also has been reduced from 29 to 19, so by a third. Cast when stunned now also triggers when blocking a hit that would stun, so a buff to cast when stunned. Rigwald's Crest, the damage of the spectral summoned wolves is increased by 50%. Their life has been increased by 66%. You know you want to. The following changes do not affect existing versions of these items unless you use a divine orb. So, there are Reach of the Council. Its added damage has been lowered from 25 to 40 to 110 to 115. So, Voidheart and Reach have gotten nerfed. I have a Legacy Reach. I have 3 Legacy Voidhearts. Happy about that. I can probably sell 1 Legacy Voidheart. Oh god, Voidheart, they gutted Voidheart. The Reach I expected, but they absolutely gutted Voidheart. Chance on melee bleed has been lowered from 100 to 30 to 50. Its chance to poison on melee hit has been lowered from 100 to 20 to 40. Voidheart was melee's... It's too much damage. Casters and archers have so much damage at range with crit. It's ridiculous. That's the only way that miners... God, a Juggernaut with Voidheart was like the only other... was the next best lab farm behind like a Poison Miner. So you have a broken mechanic, and then you... I mean, granted... Whatever, GGG. Static Strike. Alright. Ascendancy skill balance changes. Unrelenting now has a 30% chance to gain maximum power charges on generating an endurance charge rather than 100%. Okay. The Juggernaut is still very effective at generating endurance charges. It's made far too easy and low effort. It's still very good. It is pretty good still. The Headsman now grants 15% AoE, down from 20. Impact now grants 10, down from 15. They're still really good. You just have 10% overall less AoE, which is like 2 skill points. Shaper of Desolation now grants different confluxes over a 10-second cycle. Okay. Chilling conflux for 3 seconds, then shocking conflux for 3 seconds, then igniting conflux, and then all 3 together for 1 second. So actually So it goes shocking into igniting, and then all 3 together for 1 second. So you still get shocked ignites. Okay. The new version requires more strategy. The old one was too powerful. Also, you don't need kills to get it. That's good. Monster changes. Monster life has been increased in tier 4 to 12 maps. The life regeneration and aura can no longer spawn until level 8 to prevent unkillable monsters early. That's nice. Bosses that had a reduced effect of curses now have a multiplier rather than a reduction, so basically all bosses... Yeah, and it goes on to talk about that. So bosses are actually affected by curses now, and you can't over-curse bosses. Other balance changes. Tier 1 maps now drop from 58 onwards, and Merciless Poison now deals 8% of physical and chaos damage down from 10. So 20% nerf to poison off the top. While we have future plans to fix poison addressing double dipping, this nerf brings it slightly more in line until we can make those changes. Okay. Labyrinth item enchants for Stormcall duration have been weakened and merciless. Duration is 20% rather than 30 and 30 rather than lower. Nearly instant Stormcalls were a problem, you think? It has a delay for a reason. There are still legacy versions of this enchantment. Okay. So buy up those helm enchants. Extra map drop chance that occurs at the map boss is now on the final map boss you kill rather than the first one. The cost for Varici to guarantee 3 specific colors has been reduced to 120. That's less than half. And in case you didn't know, if you were just trying to get like 4 off colors on a chest, you actually would probably want to do, for 6-link, the 2 color and spam that, because the cost different. You could, essentially you're rolling, like if you wanted to get 4 red on a all blue chest, Shavs for instance, then you would do 2 red, and then you'd be rolling for 2 off color on a 4-link essentially, rather than, you know, paying 10 times more to roll guaranteed 3 on a 3 and then maybe hoping for 1 on a 2. Mathematically, it's like it doesn't justify 10 times the cost. So this brings that more in line. It's good. The chance of finding a unique strongbox has been doubled again. Good. I've still only ever found 2, I think. And I've chanced 2, and 3 of all of those, both my chances were the spider box. Tormented spirits can now only touch up to 50 monsters. We heard about that. This causes technical issues and too many problems for them, literally crashing instances and servers. Unfortunately, we had to disable this playstyle. This will improve server performance for everyone. Tormented spirits can now no longer possess Vegan. I did not know they could, because sometimes he cannot die. Yep. Oh, League mods. Xana offers now Invasion at level 2 for 2 Chaos, Beyond at level 3 for 3 Chaos, at level 4 Anarchy for 3, level 5 Torment for 3 Chaos, adds 3 Tormented Spirits, Parandus for 4 Chaos, adds Parandus chests, and at 7 for 4 Chaos she can do 3 Shrines, Domination, and then in level 8 Ambush for 4 Chaos, adds 3 Strong Boxes. Due to balance changes, every existing character has been granted an optional full passive reset. This will also reset your allocated ascendancy points. To perform this operation, click the Reset All button, and there's a host of bug fixes that I don't want to go over, but they fixed a whole lot of stuff. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoy Atlas of Worlds. It should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see Prophecy in the game, and I should be coming out with a video in the next day or 2 concerning some builds that I've been, you know, theory crafting here and there. One or 2 poison builds, 1 or 2 other builds, and we'll see where we go. If you all liked this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and I will see y'all out in Rayclast.